Was force necessary? That's the question surrounding a traffic stop that ended with East Ridge police using a stun gun on a man. I'm Josh Rowe.
And I'm Latricia Thomas. We first told you about the arrest video posted to YouTube on Friday. Yesterday, Chief Stan Allen defended his officers, saying the man you see in the video did not comply and resisted arrest. But advocates say they disagree.
We have team coverage of this case tonight. Eric Price will look at one group's report that says this arrest represents a much larger problem in our area.
But we begin with the story of the man behind the camera during that arrest. Today, he told us he believes there was no reason for police to use that kind of force. But East Ridge's police chief went on record yesterday saying this man made the situation worse. Sabrina Majore begins our team coverage.
Matthew Gilbride worked at this Food City gas station and recorded the video we first shared with you last week. In an exclusive interview today, we share with you why he decided to press record, and we also hear from East Ridge police who say his actions made the situation worse.
So what did you pull me over for? Why? The registration expired.
Matthew Gilbride says he was on the clock as a fuel clerk at this gas station, putting air in tires the moments before he recorded this video.
Yeah, I just walked around the corner and they were right there, so I started recording.
In the video, you can see East Ridge police officers using a stun gun on Anthony Wright during a traffic stop.
Hey, put him in handcuffs. Just put him in handcuffs, bro. You don't have to keep tasing the man.
East Ridge Police Chief Stan Allen says Wright resisted arrest, failed to follow orders, and yelled profanities at officers moments before this.
We're not going to tase somebody a bunch of times just to be hitting them with a taser. We're trying to get control of the situation.
But Gilbride says this force wasn't warranted.
In my eyes, he wasn't resisting arrest. If he wanted to go and run away, he could have ran away all day.
From his point of view across the gas station, Gilbride says there could have been greater attempts to de-escalate this situation, and that there was no reason to use this kind of force with 3 officers present to make an arrest.
This man's on the ground looking in my eyes. He's saying, please save me. Please save me. I said, brother, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing.
Chief Allen says Gilbride's actions were actually counterproductive in this situation.
The behavior of the guy that was taking the video was making things worse. And I mean, people are absolutely allowed to video police officers doing their jobs as long as they don't interfere.
Recording this video ultimately cost Gilbride his job, but it's a decision he says he'd make again in hopes it starts a conversation about how we can work to repair broken trust between police and citizens.
I just felt like I knew what I should expect from East Ridge. And I would like to say I'd like to live in a society one day where we could trust the police enough to not have to pull up our cell phones every single time an interaction happens.
The group says a controversial traffic stop in East Ridge represents a much bigger problem in our area. I'm Latricia Thomas.
And I'm Josh Rowe. We first brought you this video posted to YouTube on Friday. Chief Stan Allen says this traffic stop began on Ringgold Road, but the driver, Anthony Wright, drove into Catoosa County. He says Wright resisted arrest, failed to follow orders, and yelled profanities at officers before police used a stun gun. He says his officers' actions complied with policy.
So we're not going to tase somebody a bunch of times just to be hitting them with a taser. We're trying to get control of the situation.
However, advocates disagree, saying the officers were out of line, and according to numbers we found, there are disparities when it comes to law enforcement in Chattanooga's black community. And as Eric Price reports, they believe change needs to happen now. Eric.
Josh, Latricia, a report from the National Urban League on the state of Black America showed African Americans solve the most inequality when it comes to social justice issues like being stopped while driving and use of police force. We did some digging, and in Chattanooga, we found similar results.
And so criminal behavior becomes rampant in areas where people are deprived of the ability to take care of themselves.
Community advocate and Chattanooga resident LaQuisha Ewing says she sees most of the social justice disparities among Black Chattanoogans in areas with low income.
There's a lot of poor other ethnicities that are present in Chattanooga. But when we look at the indicators, what we're seeing is that people who get racialized as Black are at the bottom of many of those outcome barrels.
According to the National Urban League, 43% of African Americans experience inequality in areas like being stopped while driving and use of force with police contact. And Dennis Clark with the Equity Alliance says it's no different in Chattanooga.
It does impact the Chattanooga Black people are suffering the same disparities.
Stats from the city's Chatta data site show the area of downtown near MLK has the highest use of force rate from CPD. In this area, 1 out of 36 white residents is involved in a use of force incident since 2018. But in that same area, 1 out of every 23 black residents experienced use of force.
We do see a lot of crime happening downtown because we do have an influx of the homeless population downtown.
Clark and Ewing say if we want to see any change in these numbers, there needs to be use of force policy changes nationwide. That's something the equity group is working towards now.
Officers should be trained to diffuse situations without even having to use force or to take someone's life.
But until we close these inequality gaps, Ewing says the impact is felt by everyone, not just African Americans.
We all have something to lose if we don't fix some of these basic fundamental social determinants in our community.
Now, according to that same site, 2 to 6% of 911 calls in Chattanooga result in an arrest with minimal incidents involving use of force.
CPD says they're pursuing a number of leads after a shooting that happened here in this parking lot. It injured 2 men, including one 19-year-old. Transformed to an active crime scene at the site of one of Chattanooga's largest employers.
To a suspect involved in shots fired over at Volkswagen just a few minutes ago.
Broadcastify audio shows some of dispatchers' conversations right before police arrived on the scene to find a 19 and 31-year-old shot in their cars. CPD says both men are expected to survive and that they believe this was not a person shooting at random.
It was nerve-wracking.
Kate Kemp says her loved one was on lunch break here when the shooting happened.
They didn't really know much except that there were police officers taping off the area.
Volkswagen did confirm to us the crime happened on their property, but would not confirm whether the 2 men hurt were their employees. This as witnesses shared more with police last night about a possible suspect.
Several witnesses say that he is going to be an employee here that works in logistics.
Employees we spoke with today telling us they're back at work here for the regular shifts as CPD continues their search for the suspect.
I don't know that you can really keep track of who carries and who doesn't, but it seems like they'd have some kind of better security.
Some relatives of employees here telling us they're hoping the company will look to take extra security measures, especially during those late night shifts.